Hi everyone. As per one of your colleagues' requests, I am doing a brief review for the final. This is an optional video for you to watch. I'm really just going to go over certain concepts because again, I'm not sure if you guys are getting all the concepts as I've explained in the previous video. So one of your colleagues asked me if I could possibly review concepts of validity and reliability. Those are really tough concepts, so I'd be happy to do a quick little video on that. And then she also asked if I could review concepts of internal validity. Let's throw external validity in there too. I'm going to do two videos on that. This one is going to talk about validity and reliability. That is different than the next video, which I will do, which is going to be about internal validity and external validity. These are very different concepts, even though they sound similar. So when we're talking about validity and reliability, we are talking about specific measures. In an experiment, how we measure something. That's what validity and reliability have to do with. My next video will be about internal validity, and I'll throw external validity in there too. And that's about the whole experiment itself, the whole research design itself. That's what internal validity and external validity has to do with. But we're going to talk about that later. Right now, I just want you to think about validity and about measurement and how we choose to measure something. Now, this semester, you guys have done a great job finding different ways to measure things. Like, I remember on one assignment, you had to go and look through and find scales to measure certain concepts. And you all came up with some very interesting ideas. Now, the scales you found were often from some sort of database that had good scales on it that had been shown to be valid, okay? And it's not just someone goes, oh, I think this is valid. These are tested usually to make sure they're valid. So when we talk about validity and reliability of measurement items, I'm just going to go to a PowerPoint to help me explain this. We have to talk about measures. So measures are the way that we measure something in a research design. So it's the way in quantitative research, again, this just has to do with quantitative research, that we measure variables, okay? So when you put them into a research situation, they can become variables. So good measures enhance researchers' abilities to detect differences as long as they are measuring the right things. Now that's important. Are we measuring the right thing? The challenge lies in developing measures that can tap the phenomenon of specific interest without also bringing in extraneous information. That if we are looking to measure depression, we are actually measuring depression, okay? So a few basic concepts are usually employed to assess the usefulness of measures, okay? And this is where it comes in for validity and reliability. Now your textbook does explain this, but again, I know that I understand this when I talk about it and when I speak to someone about it. And I know when it was explained to me, I needed to visualize a few things and have it explained to me. So hopefully this can help. So when we're speaking about validity, validity is saying, is the measure measuring what it purports to measure? That's what validity is. Reliability is, does the measure yield consistent answers? Like when we measure it once and then we measure it again, are we getting consistent measures? Okay, so reliability is a prerequisite for measurement validity because you cannot have measurement validity without reliability, but you can have reliability without validity, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. I'll show you a chart for that. Okay, so reliability can be tested by test, retest reliability, internal consistency, and inter-rater reliability. Again, if you want to think about reliability, I like this little graphic over here. It says, okay, so if I measure something here, am I going to get a consistent result when I measure it here on time 1 and time 2? So the test-retest method involves administering the same test after a period of time and comparing the results. And if the results at time 1 and time 2 are highly correlated, then that measure is deemed reliable, okay? Also, other ways that we test for reliability can be things such as internal reliability or consistency. This is something you may see in when they talk about scales in research articles. They'll often talk about the Cronbach's alpha, okay? And that averages the correlation between every possible combination. And when that Cronbach's alpha is a strong one, that's showing that that measure is reliable, okay? Inter-rater reliability means that it appears that, you know, if you have someone rating something, it appears to agree with the way someone else does, so that your researchers are rating things similarly, okay? And so when this happens, that you need inter-rater reliability when you have more than one person on the research team that is maybe administering a survey. You want to make sure that those interviewers are trained and they're doing it in a consistent manner. Okay, so I said something before about a relationship between reliability and validity. And I said that reliability does not ensure validity. Okay, and I know that the textbook goes into this as well. And that's confusing because they sound like similar words. Okay, but you can have something be reliable and have consistent measurement. Like, look over here. Like, this is a dartboard. Okay, so let's just say the middle of the dartboard is both valid and reliable, that we're measuring what we're supposed to be measuring, and it's reliable. Okay, however, we could be measuring not something that we're supposed to be measuring, and it could be missing the mark, but it could be getting the same consistent results all the time. Like when I go to my brother's house, I like my brother's scale. Okay, like when I weigh myself, I like that scale because it's always 5 pounds less. Okay, so every time I get on that scale, I'm 5 pounds less, and boy, does that make me feel great. So I have reliable results, okay? However, those results are not valid, okay? Because that scale is broken, okay? It reliably gives me the wrong weight every single time, God bless it, but it is reliable, but it is not valid, okay? So do you see how that works there, okay? So what we shoot for with a measurement item is that it's both valid and reliable, okay? So validity concerns the amount of I always put my dog when I talk about validity, because validity is at times boring, so I just put pictures of my dog in. So validity concerns the amount of systematic error in a measurement, the extent which a specific measurement provides data that relates to commonly accepted meanings. In other words, this one right here, this is what I always think of with validity. Am I really measuring what I think I am measuring? Okay. And when we look at different measurement items, whether you're looking at a measurement for depression, or you're looking at a scale that measures people's weights, or you are looking at a measure of self-esteem or of traumatic symptoms, okay, you can assess the validity of that measurement items in 4 different approaches. You can use face validation, content validation, or criterion validation, and also construct validation. Now, the book does go into some more detail about what these different types of validity are. The weakest type of validity is face validity, okay? That's just basically, does it appear to measure what we say it measures? I always go like this when I talk about face validity. I always go face validity. I don't know why. I use my hands a lot. You may have noticed that. But I always go face validity, like I'm voguing or something like that, okay? So that means, does it appear? Does it look? When I look at that measurement item, does it look like it measures validity? It's the weakest type of measurement validity, but it is a type of validity, okay? Content validity refers to the degree to which a measure covers the range of meanings included within that concept. It includes an aspect of face validity, but it's also based on the judgments of researchers and experts, okay? So we would assume that depression would have an element of measuring a lack of interest. Other things, usually I ask you guys this, what other things do you associate with depression, okay? And then undoubtedly somebody will say to me, well, changes in sleep pattern. Okay, then a measurement of depression will probably include something about changes in sleep patterns. We'll probably talk about maybe feelings of hopelessness, feelings of sadness, okay? You would probably get experts saying that this does measure a content of what we would expect a measure of depression to include, okay? Here, let's go on to this one. Now, criterion-related validity, in contrast to other types of validity, criterion validity is based on an external criterion. Okay, so to assess criterion validity of an instrument, we select an external criterion that is another indicator of the same variable our instrument tends to measure. Okay, so if I was utilizing so the geriatric depression scale measures depression and I think 15 items. That has been shown to be effective with older adults, okay? But in order to test the criterion validity of the geriatric depression scale, that has been used against other proven scales for depression, like the Beck's Depression Inventory, which is a much longer depression scale, more questions on it than the geriatric depression scale. So you could test the criterion validity of one scale against another proven or another one that has been shown to be both valid and reliable. That would be criterion validity of a measure. Okay, and then construct is the way a measure relates to the other variables within the system of theoretical. Does the concept being measured tied into other related concepts in a logical way, but is distinct from them? Okay, so example I give here is to think about a general knowledge test of basic algebra. If a test is designed to assess knowledge of algebra, but test questions are phrased in long and complex reading passages, then perhaps the reading skills are inadvertently being measured instead of factual knowledge about basic algebra. This would mean that the measure had poor construct validity for testing a student's knowledge of algebra. Okay, so yeah, so that's my little spiel on reliability and validity. I hope that was helpful for you all. If some of it is still confusing, go try and read the textbook again, see if it seems a little bit more make a little bit more sense, and then watch this again. Okay, so again, these are my quick videos. If I had planned it, I would have put some makeup on, but you know, it's just us here. Okay, have a great night. Stay tuned. I'm going to do internal and external validity next. Ooh, this is getting so exciting.